Okay, in the last video I did on the Super Free Alpine jacket from Patagonia, I didn't have any time with the jacket. That was very much like, here's how the jacket kind of fits on me, here's some of the features of the jacket, and I was excited to use it. Well, now after a season of using the Super Free Alpine jacket, I've got thoughts on it. And if you kind of picked up a tone from that, well, yeah, there is a reason why. And let's, kind of go into just overall, how's it been to climb with the jacket? Overall, it's been good. I mean, one of the big things with this jacket was that this jacket features GORE-TEX EPE. GORE-TEX is PFC-free version of GORE-TEX. They collaborated with Patagonia to develop it, and one of the first pieces on the market to come out with GORE-TEX EPE was Patagonia's clothing, whether it be the Triole pants and jacket, and the Super Free Alpine jacket that I have on right now, or the Alpine suit. They all use GORE-TEX EPE. And from using this jacket, GORE-TEX EPE is legit. It's the real stuff. It's not a lesser version of GORE-TEX. It's right on par, and it was apparent after using it. Like, I was climbing in a lot of wet climbs this season, and I stayed completely dry in this jacket. I had great level of water protection, I had a great level of wind protection, and still while maintaining a decent level of breathability. So in terms of performance, GORE-TEX EPE performed great with this jacket. But that's kind of where we have kind of a shift. So the material in the jacket, great, have no complaints with it. But there are some things I have some issues with. And when I say issues, they're just like little nitpicks. Like, are they make or break? Do they make or break the jacket? Not really, but they're just kind of annoyances. And kind of what they are kind of the features of this jacket. It's surprising because I think in my last video I was like, yeah, it's kind of a slim but feature-packed jacket and it's going to be great. After climbing with it, I really, really do prefer jackets that don't have a lot of features to them. I mean, it's something that I love about, like my Storm 10 jacket. Like, it was super, no fluff. And I kind of started to see that with the Alpine suit too. Like, the Alpine suit has some features to it, but it's very stripped down and it's very simple. And I think the simpler the jacket you can have for ice climbing, the better it is because it just doesn't get in your way. And that's definitely what I kind of noticed with climbing with this jacket is kind of, some of the small features are getting in the way while I was climbing. I mean, a big one that I kind of forgot about was pit zips. Pit zips get in the way. And what I mean by that is they almost create like a blind spot. Like, imagine if you're climbing and, you've got your harness on and it might kind of build up a little bit and you're just climbing, you're ice climbing, and you go to look down and all you see is just jacket. And I totally forgot that's how pit zips are. It was something that I kind of forgot about because by the end of last season and 2 seasons ago, I was using my Storm 10, and then last season I was using the Alpine suit. Both of those jackets do not include pit zips. So getting back to kind of more of a traditional shell that has pit zips, I forgot that I didn't like the blind spots that kind of pit zips create. Now, is it manageable? Yeah, sure, it's great to have when it's a little bit warmer because, you just unzip them and you can, expel a lot more heat than you could with something that didn't have pit zips. So that was great. But they just do kind of get in the way. So that was one thing that I kind of noticed with this jacket. The other was actually surprisingly the gasket that's in the hood. Now, in the previous video I did on this, I kind of was like, yeah, it makes sense. Having the insulated gasket totally makes sense because it kind of creates a barrier between the cold air and your head. It seemed like a great idea. And I think it is still a great idea, but what I've noticed is having that kind of thick of a gasket that has that insulation in there, it made it kind of awkward to, throw your hood on kind of quick. I noticed it was getting caught on my helmet a lot and it wasn't going up all the way. And then because it was kind of getting stuck in the high point of the helmet, it'd bring up this collar pass, and it was just it was a whole ordeal of Like if I was on mid-climb and I'm like, oh man, it's windy, or oh man, it's wet, I need to throw my hood on, I was just like struggling with it. And then when I was trying to struggle with it, like I said, like my collar would almost go up to my, like past my nose. And so that was, you know, fun to deal with, like as you're trying to look down, because when you look down with your jacket fully zipped, all you saw was jacket. So I think the hood, I mean, it's great if you have the time to spend to, you know, get the hood on properly, but in a pinch when you just need to put that hood on really quick, it does kind of get in the way, and it is kind of a nuisance to deal with. So that's another thing I noticed about this jacket that just kind of like didn't do it for me. Now everything else though, you know, fit-wise, I didn't really have a problem with. Sure, there's a little bit more material and maybe I could go down to a size smaller. I mean, for reference, I'm a size medium in this jacket, and I'm 6 foot and like 170 pounds, and I have like a +4 ape index. And this is kind of how it fits on me. Like, you can kind of see that there is a little bit more material, which I didn't totally mind, just because, you know, it added potential for more layering underneath. I did notice maybe I could go with a size small, just for as much material as there is, but overall I'm pretty happy with the medium. And even talking about like how it fits, I mean, even how the jacket's cut, like the jacket's cut really smart. You know, there aren't really many restriction points, like it's not tight in the shoulders as you swing, you know, it's not tight in the torso, it's not tight in the chest, like it really moves with you really well. I really like the Super Free Alpine jacket for that reason. It's like I had good mobility in it. Like I was doing a lot of dry tooling in it and a lot of mixed climbing because we didn't have as much ice. But I was all doing it in the Super Free Alpine jacket, and it handled it really well. So, you know, how it's cut is great. But there is one last thing that I was not too stoked about. And what that is kind of another feature that I was like, it makes sense in my last video. And what I'm referring to is about the gasket that's in the cuff. I had problems with that gasket this season, and it was really dumb how I figured out that I was having problems with it. So in theory, the gaskets were supposed to stop air from going up your sleeve. And in theory, that's a really great idea, you know, maybe trying to just kind of seal off all these points that you can to make your internal core temperature warmer. And that does make a lot of sense. But how the gaskets are, they're weird. So normally a gasket like that, you know, think about like a nanopuff, you know, how the gasket or the elastic is on the outside at the very end. That's how it should be on this jacket. It should be closer to like right here. But the gasket is actually right here. And so what actually ends up happening is, because it's a little farther back, it ends up grabbing your base layer or your mid layer. And then when you're climbing, when you have your arms up, it pulls your base layer with you. And if you can notice that, the sleeve doesn't go down anymore. So as you keep on climbing with, you know, your arms are just constantly up, and it keeps on working it up, it eventually kind of like bunches your clothes right around your forearm. And when you've kind of got either both your layers on, or it just works to the point where it just keeps on going farther, what ends up happening is it actually kind of cuts off a little bit of circulation. And what that leads to is your forearms pumping out way faster than normal. And it was super weird to figure that out. And I mean, like, I was doing a little bit of mixed climbing, and I was like, what the heck? Like, why am I pumping out so fast? Like, I did a bunch of training to prevent this, and like, I just couldn't figure it out until I got down, and I was like, oh, why are my sleeves still up? And then like, I put them down, and I think I was like changing a layer, and I like looked at my arm, and I'm like I had a full-on like ring around my forearm, both forearms. And I'm like, I'm restricting blood flow with the clothes bunching up and that gasket getting like stuck in that place. And so again, like, it's been really weird to deal with that. And it's almost every time that I use the jacket. It's not like a certain like, oh, it only happens in this scenario. It seems to happen every time in this jacket. And that is, it's annoying. It's annoying to say the least, because one, you know, your sleeves ride down and you have that much more exposed skin on the climb, so that's not fun, especially when spin drift happens. That's like really not fun. So that's one, that's not fun. Two, it's leading your forearms to pump out way faster than they would normally, and that's not good either. I mean, it was really crazy to be not that far off the ground and just be almost totally pumped and being like, that shouldn't happen. And knowing it was just because of the jacket. Like, I could switch into the Alpine suit, I could switch into an older Storm 10 jacket, no problem. This jacket, problem. It's really weird. And the third thing that I think is kind of weird about this problem too is, what kind of happens if you have bigger forearms? Like, I don't really have that big of forearms. Like, so what happens if you have really big forearms? Are you going to notice that faster? Is there going to be more of like a circulation loss problem? Like, there's all these things that kind of stem from that are more questions. And so, yeah, that's like, it's really weird how this jacket is causing me to pump out really fast. It's just really weird. And so because of that, that kind of changed my opinion about the jacket, and really what it got me to look for now is the more simplistic jackets, you know, the jackets that aren't fully loaded with features, because I think at the end of the day, the jackets that aren't fully loaded are going to end up being the better climbing jackets. I still think some of the ideas that were presented with this jacket are good. I just think they need to be updated, if that makes sense. I think they need to be refined. But overall, that's been my kind of first season use of the Super Free Alpine jacket. I mean, who knows, maybe my opinions will change, you know, after more time with the jacket. I don't know. I mean, that kind of pumping issue with the sleeves is kind of a big deal for me, so I don't know. But you know, maybe the jacket works better for someone else, and that could be totally true. Who knows? But anyways, if you have any questions about this jacket, feel free to leave a comment. I'll try to get to it as soon as possible. And with that being said, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.